Imagine being born here, never seeing a plantation, never living under slavery, because your entire world was hidden inside a swamp. The Great Dismal Swamp wasn't empty. It contained dozens of hidden islands, neighborhoods hidden beneath the forest canopy. These islands became neighborhoods, entire communities hidden beneath the forest canopy. Nothing was wasted. Trees became homes, reeds became roofs, mud became protection. Every cabin represented something precious. Freedom, the swamp fed them. Fish, turtles, deer, wild berries, roots, medicinal plants. Some communities even cultivated small gardens on higher ground. Children grew up here. Some never knew another home. Parents passed on everything: how to survive, how to stay hidden, how to remain free. The Maroons were hidden, but they were not isolated. Trusted allies helped bring supplies, news, and sometimes new freedom seekers. Sometimes the hunters came astonishingly close and never knew an entire village was watching. The greatest victory wasn't surviving. It was living. Every child born free inside the Great Dismal Swamp was proof that slavery had failed. Today, the forest still keeps many of their secrets, but their story will no longer remain hidden. Imagine being born in America during slavery, but never seeing a plantation, never hearing an overseer's whip, never being owned. Hidden deep within the Great Dismal Swamp, families built communities where children were born free. Maroons of the Americas, the untold freedom stories of the African diaspora. Escaping slavery was only the beginning. People built homes, raised families, created communities, and welcomed new generations into freedom. Children learned how to survive the swamp. They learned its hidden trails, its waterways, its wildlife, its seasons. The swamp became their home. Elders passed down stories from Africa. Parents taught courage, faith, community, and the value of freedom. Even in hiding, a culture continued to grow. The children of the swamp grew into adults who protected the communities their parents had created. They weren't simply surviving, they were building a future for generations. Some Americans were born free because their parents built freedom in the swamp. Their story deserves to be remembered. They came with muskets, with bloodhounds, with rewards for every person they captured, but they were entering a world that belonged to someone else. Throughout the 18th and 19th centuries, plantation owners offered rewards for the capture of freedom seekers. Every successful escape challenged the entire system. The Great Dismal Swamp was unlike any battlefield. Maps meant little, roads disappeared, water became forest. The deeper they went, the less control they had. The Maroons often knew the hunters were coming long before the hunters knew they were being watched. Knowledge of the land became their greatest defense. The swamp became an ally. Water erased footprints, mist concealed movement. Silence became protection. Victory wasn't always found in battle. Sometimes victory meant remaining unseen. Again and again, expeditions returned without the people they sought. The swamp had become a fortress that could not easily be conquered. Empires measured victory by territory. The Maroons measured it by another day of freedom. For many enslaved people, Florida represented something extraordinary, a chance at freedom. This was their escape. Escaped Africans made their way south and joined communities beyond the reach of plantation owners. Together with the Seminoles, they built settlements, raised families, and created lives of their own. These communities became known as the Black Seminoles. Their story reminds us that freedom was not simply granted, it was pursued, protected, and defended. And it remains one of the most remarkable stories in American history. The alliance that changed history? It was a partnership nobody expected. History often tells stories of conflict. This is a story of cooperation. Escaped Africans and Seminoles found common cause in Florida. Together, they built thriving communities. They shared their knowledge and learned to thrive in the wild. They protected one another from every threat, and together, they resisted attempts to destroy their freedom. The Black Seminoles emerged from one of the most remarkable alliances in American history, a story of survival, partnership, and determination. Yet many people have never heard it. The United States expected a military victory. What it found was something far more complicated. The Black Seminoles and Seminoles had built strong communities throughout Florida. They understood the terrain. This connection to the land was their secret weapon. The Florida swamps concealed movement and allowed for strategic ambushes. The Florida forest provided perfect cover for their tactical maneuvers. And local knowledge gave defenders a powerful advantage. Military commanders expected a quick campaign. They were gravely mistaken. Instead, they faced determined resistance from people fighting to protect their freedom, their families, and their way of life. The Black Seminoles became one of the most remarkable resistance movements in American history. Yet many people have never heard their story. Many people know the story of slavery. Far fewer know the story of those who successfully escaped it. The Black Seminoles built independent communities and fought to preserve their freedom. Their story reminds us that history is not only about oppression, it is also about resilience, courage, and the determination to build a better future. The Black Seminoles became part of a larger tradition of Maroon communities throughout the Americas. People who refused to accept bondage as their destiny. Their legacy continues to inspire generations today because freedom is never just a historical idea, it is a human story. Knowledge was transferred through work, through survival, and through family. The very swamps that the masters feared became the sanctuary for the enslaved. They knew the land better than the men who claimed to own it. Isolation became a shield. On the sea islands, separated from the mainland by vast marshes and treacherous tides, the Gullah people maintained a world within a world. Their language, Gullah, is the bridge. It is a language built on English words but driven by the grammar, the cadence, and the soul of West and Central Africa. It was more than communication. It was a way to maintain identity in the face of erasure. It was a secret code of heritage spoken in the shadow of the big house. Linguists today trace the syntax directly back to the Niger-Congo family. To speak Gullah was to keep the African continent alive in every sentence, every greeting, every prayer. Under the moss-draped oaks, memory traveled. They told stories of Brer Rabbit and Brer Wolf, animal fables that had their roots in the forest, and savanna stories of the motherland. These weren't just nursery rhymes. They were blueprints for survival, lessons in how the small and the clever could outsmart the powerful and the cruel. They were the genetic code of a continent planted in the soil of the Low Country. Eating wasn't just about sustenance, it was about community. It was about sharing the memory of a home that was thousands of miles away, one bite at a time. Faith became another bridge. In the hidden corners of the plantations, the Gullah people built praise houses, small, humble sanctuaries for the spirit and the soul. They blended the new faith with old patterns. The ring shout, the circular movement, the call and response, the polyrhythmic clapping was pure Africa in the heart of America. The rhythm was their sovereignty, their prayer, and their freedom. This wasn't just a dance. It was a connection to the celestial. The counterclockwise movement mirrored the path of the sun and the stars, connecting them to the eternal rhythm of home. These were the hush harbors, places where the soul could breathe free even when the body was in chains. It was here that the spirit of resistance was forged and refined. In the 1930s, a song was recorded in Georgia. Decades later, it was recognized in a remote village in Sierra Leone, a family song preserved for 200 years. It was a moment of profound recognition. The song was the evidence. It was the living proof that the thread of family had never been truly severed.